When Zomato went public, it was like the talk of the town. It is still talk of the town. But very big fundamental change is that the stock went from 150 to 40. How did you react to it?
I actually didn't react to it. I think somebody told me, and I don't look at the stock price, by the way. So somebody told me that the stock price had gotten there, and somebody told me that the stock price had gotten there as well.
Who's this somebody?
Someone WhatsApps me, like some random person, right? And internally, we don't talk about the stock price at all. And my reaction was like, okay, this is not actually real. This doesn't make sense. And when it got to the bottom, I had the same reaction. This doesn't make sense. So I don't know what makes sense, but neither of these highs and lows.
So what makes sense according to you?
I have no idea. Somewhere in the middle, right? But I was always like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. So it's okay.
But
Life will catch up.
since you were amongst one of the first consumer tech company, the new tech internet company, which used the word path to profitability, it was like saying that when you were in a private arena, the rules were different. Now in the public arena, the rules are different. Has the transition from the private market to the public market forced you to start thinking about cash flows, profitability?
I would say no, because I think for the first 5-7 years of our life, we were actually profitable. In 2018, we also hit a profit. So I think whenever we have burnt money, it's mainly because the market has forced us to do it. And competition has forced us to do it, right? So there was a point in time where the competition raised $1 billion, and we had about $100 million in the bank. Right? We still had to fight that much money with a lot less cash. So we've been efficient overall, I think. I mean, and profitability is also, I mean, we try to get there as soon as possible. I don't like to burn cash.
So if the stock would have been at 200 right now, your path to profitability, your commitment to what you've shared with the market would have not changed.
Would have been the same, at least for the business that the core of the business that we are in, right? So Blinkit is something new, and I think of the entire business in terms of sum of parts, right? So I don't think of it as one large P&L. So Zomato would have made money; it would have been on the same path. Blinkit would have been on the same path, right? So maybe we would have done something else, like maybe a third bet, right? But I don't think that us taking a third bet or not taking a third bet has anything to do with the market. Right? It is to do with whether we actually believe that some bet is worth taking or not.
Fair point. So let's look at the transition. The transition for Zomato from big cities to small cities. In your last quarterly numbers, you've said business is slowing down. Now Indians are eating more, we're dining out less, we're experimenting from chaat to sushis, which means we want to eat much more. Is this temporary inflation which has hit the growth of the business? Is that the reason why the business has hit a mature curve?
I don't think it has actually hit a mature curve. It was a temporary 2-3 month phase, I think, right? And we also said it in the last letter that we think that we're almost back in action in terms of growth. I think it was probably due to a lot of weddings. There was inflation as well. There was a lot of layoffs as well. So I think it's a bunch of things, just like sort of flattened us out for a bit. But yeah, but I think I mean, this market should grow 10-20x over the next decade. So
why do you think like that?
I mean, Indians they still largely eat at home, right? So and our like frequency here is about 3.5 times a month of ordering out or like going to a restaurant outside. And when you compare to countries like US, China, the frequency is like almost 7-8 times more. So, and the penetration, I mean, a lot less people are part of the system right now. And in the US and China, everybody orders and everybody eats out. So the number of people and the frequency at which they eat out has yet to grow. And there's a 10-20x still actually sitting out there.
Let me try and address two things here. One, the identity of the business and the commitment of the promoters. What is your vision for Zomato in 5 years? Where do you think Zomato could be? What are the business where you think you will experiment? What are the business you think you will be able to scale up multifold? And what are the businesses where you're thinking right now, should you go or should you not go?
So I'm actually not that patient as a person. So whatever question you ask of me for 5 years out, I will want to get it done in the next 2.
Okay.
Right? So I think Zomato, the core business has to be much bigger than what it is right now, and Blinkit has to get to profit, and that also has to be much bigger than what it is right now. Hyperpure is doing so well. So just these 3 businesses, if they get to 10x in terms of scale and profit, I would be happy.
Do you
with
think
that.
they can reach that?
I mean, that's why we're betting on them and chasing them down. But
What about penetration levels? What about the fact that, in major cities, ghar ka khana is convenience. But when you go outside to small cities, bahar jaake khana is a celebration. You are now moving from large cities to small cities, and there's a big change in terms of culture, in terms of variety. Could that be an impediment in terms of a future growth?
so, not. I don't think so.
देखिए वो पोस्टर भी है. Is this really the end? ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है.
ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं. I don't think so, because even the customers who are ordering frequently in the larger cities right now, they started off with a 4 times a year use case 5 years ago. Right? So everybody starts off with, okay, I'll order a cake on a birthday, or the kids go first in class, so let's order lunch, or somebody in the home falls sick who can't cook, or the maid didn't show up. So these are the use cases with which customers get onto the platform. Then the next year, okay, there is a match going on between India and Pakistan. Let's also order food, right? Hey, movie night, let's just go out and eat. Like, so that's how the frequency goes up. So the first year, customers order 4 times a year. The next year, they order 10. The next year, they order 20. The next year, they order 40, 80. Like, that's how the frequency grows. And we got a large chunk of customers right now, which are in their first year of the journey. And we're seeing the same signs. Like, I think they will, this huge customer base will also grow up double, and we're at the start of that point right now.
एक ये पोस्टर दिखाता है. Just let's zoom in on this one, and I think these are designed by you, right?
Yeah, they are designed by me.
All of them.
All of them.
Okay. So did you come here to play it safe? What are you trying to prove here? Keep on taking experimentation risk. Keep on incubating small businesses. Try and scale them up.
I think a lot of times people inside the organization just don't take any risks, like 0 risks.
Was Blinkit a risk?
Everything, I mean, Blinkit, Zomato is a risk as well, right? So, and this poster was just to remind everybody that you don't need to be averse to risk, right? So you should be taking the right amount of risk at the right time, right? So
what is your definition of right risk?
Right risk is something that you know the downside of, and you know that if this downside happens, there's a chance to it, right? Then I'll be able to manage that downside, right? So that's a right risk to me. If you take a risk which you can't handle the downside for, that's a risk you should ideally not take.
Startup promoters have this reputation that they are very maverick. They love to experiment. Some may call it risk, but that is also something which will give you the next business idea to scale up. What is true in your case? Are you a maverick? Because everybody says Deepi is a maverick.
I think it's also an image which startup founders have to portray when they start off, because that's the only way they can hire people to work with them. Like, at the end of the day, everybody means business, right? So, and everybody wants their companies to become bigger, make a lot of money. So those common traits are for everyone, whether startup founders or everyone. Everybody is in business at the end of the day. So I think maverick is perception as well.
You like the perception?
I don't care.
So what do you really care about? You don't care about the stock price, you don't care about the perception?
I care about the work, yeah. I actually care about our customers loving us, about our partners actually loving us, about us growing fast, about us making money, about our people here who are working their ass off, making a lot of money, right? So that's what I care about.
What about shareholders? Shareholders say, look, I want profits, I want high return ratios, I want the path of profitability to be clearly defined and to be achieved correctly. So while as an entrepreneur, as a promoter, you'll have to focus on work, you'll have to take risk, you have to keep your team motivated. That is all something you're doing fantastically well. But shareholders have a different demand list.
I think sometimes they have demands which come down to the next month,
Yeah.
right? So that's not what I can think of or I should think of, right? So I think I have to take care of the longer term. I mean, all the returns that happen have to be have to happen over the longer term, and I don't think I'm building it for the short term. Even for myself, I always am thinking 2
Are you
years out,
committed
5
to
years
keep
out.
your stake at 5%?
Absolutely. Like, why would I change?
Uh, your anchor investors, some of them, they've been bringing the stake down. And that means from an open market stock market standpoint, there is a lot of supply coming. The fact that Ant Group has reduced their stake and they could reduce their stake more often. Have you got an understanding from them? What are they planning to do and why are they selling? If the growth is so visible and if the India appeal is so great, why would any long-term investor think about selling?
So, according to me, whoever is selling, it has got nothing to do with us. The reason why they're like selling is because of factors at their own end. I don't think it's got anything to do with us. So, and a lot of people are in a lot of like pressure for so many things, right? So, and I think that's what's playing out. The company is doing really well, I think.
So every company follows a curve. The ideation or incubation, then there is the youth and the vibrant phase, then there is maturity, and then there is decline. So if you have to really chart Zomato in that
Phase
curve,
1, 2, 3, 4.
yes.
Okay.
Where do you think Zomato currently is?
I think the organization is trying to move into phase 3. Which one is that?
Phase 3 essentially is you've reached
Maturity.
Yeah, maturity.
And
Maturity and high growth.
maturity and high growth.
Stable growth.
Stable growth. I think, yeah, in that case, we are in like, we're part of like somewhere in 3 and 2, right? Youth, and we're trying to move fast, we're trying to do new things. And we're also trying to balance being stable and having predictable cash flow and so on and so on. So we're trying to do a 2 and 3, right? And just going to be very, very, I'm going to work very, very hard that we don't get into phase 4.
Only,
The paranoids survive.
are you paranoid at times when the targets are not met?
I think the word means so many different things to so many folks, right? So,
Okay. Now I've been told that this is your workstation. There's no secrecy, there is no closed cabin.
yeah,
Everybody can hear what you talk.
I don't talk usually.
Is that the startup culture? Is that the new India where it's all about co-working together? It's about approachability. Anybody can walk up to you and say hello. Are you approachable as a boss?
I don't know, you should ask everybody else, but I do get a lot of taps on my shoulder every 5 minutes saying, do you have a minute? Which like irritates me quite a lot because I'm trying to do something, but yeah, that happens quite a lot.
Just 2 more questions before we move to the, to some fitness challenge and the real challenge. You've given a guidance that the business for the quarter gone by has slowed down, but you've also indicated to us that green shoots are now visible. Does that mean that the chart what you've given us in terms of reaching to profitability for your core business will be achieved early?
I don't know. I mean, we're trying.
You're the only one who knows.
I mean, even if I'm the only one who knows, I would not be the one who says that. But I mean, see, we are always trying our best all the time. Right? So, and maybe we'll get there. And we got to profit last month. I don't know whether this quarter will turn out to be profit or not. And so, whenever we give any timelines, it's sort of always the worst case scenario for us, right? Okay. So, I don't want to miss any deadline or guidance that we've ever given.
So, can I say the mantra for you at Zomato is that undercommit and over-deliver?
Absolutely.
Okay. And when you say that you are confident about growth and it could be a multi-year, multi-level growth, you're being conservative?
I think so.
Okay. My next question perhaps is about what should 10 years back, I'm going to take the clock back before I take it forward. 10, 15 years ago, if one invested in stocks like HUL, ITC, Nestle, you pretty much have been part of the great India consumption boom. So what is Zomato? A technology company, a brand, a consumer company, or perhaps a company which will continue to experiment, continue to deliver, and continue to add new formats?
I think we're actually all 3 of these things, right? Because technology helps us scale, Uh, Brand also keeps us top of mind, and it also makes sure that our marketing costs are low. And the consumer story sort of makes sure that we ride the wave of India's growth. So it's a combination of all three.
Historians have divided world in two parts, AC and AD and BC. So let me divide my next question in a similar manner. Deepinder Goyal, before the company went public and after the company went public, what has changed for you?
I think I went through a phase of trying to discover whether there needs to be a new me.
Okay.
I figured that, and I went through a bad phase, like ups and downs, but eventually I recognized that I was fine the way I used to be, and I need to bring the same level of energy, commitment, and drive back in. I don't need to be reacting to what other people ask of me, right? So,
but Zomato, gets a lot of attention. It attracts a lot of extra attention, if I may use the word. How do you keep yourself calm when a mem reaches you, when a shareholder writes an email to you, when a retail investor says, "Arey, 140 ka stock 50 rupees ho gaya." How do you keep yourself calm?
I think we're just like so used to it now. So, I mean, if we started losing our shit over any of these things, like we would not be able to hold it together, right?
So Zomato is growing. Zomato will grow. The best is yet to come, and you will be conscious of your employees, and you will take care of shareholders.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right. Fingers crossed, and fingers crossed for this next fitness challenge. Well, I'm 45.
40,
You're 40 plus.
40, yeah.
So it's going to be a test of old man versus a young man.
Both old men.
You know what caught my attention when I was on the other floor is this lovely poster which has been defined, which is designed by you. The 3 P's: performance, possibility, and paranoia. So Zomato की performance की तो बात हो गई. Now it's about the fitness performance, and that is what we would be testing.
Okay.
Okay. But
Let's
in
do
general,
that.
if you have to talk about performance, are you more than happy with the performance of how things are moving for, let's say, the new businesses which you've incubated? The 10-minute delivery, for example, did not work, but now it is home cooked food, food from different cities. Are you happy with these new businesses which you're incubating?
I think the cost of all these new things is pretty low.
What is the average cost which you commit?
I mean, it's the lowest. It's actually small team, a couple of locations, so it doesn't really move the needle for us overall in terms of cost. And we have to keep trying new things to understand where the market is going, how the culture of the country is shifting. If we don't try new things, we'll never learn here. I think these businesses have to grow, evolve, change, adapt. And Zomato also was a reviews and listings business earlier. It actually has become what it has become right now. So I think we need to continue learning and growing and changing. So
now let's talk about possibility. Like you said that you never expected that Zomato would become a 5,000 employee company, and it in a sense will become listed. It was almost like a garage startup idea which got incubated on your work desk. Do you think there is a possibility that in 5, 6, 7, 8 years Zomato could be $100 billion company?
I hope so, and surprised. I am actually surprised why you're saying this, because internally that's what we actually aspire for. Internally, that's the goal, that by 2030-ish we should be about 100-ish billion, right? And I mean, the way we see the business growing and changing in terms of scale and profit, I think we can easily be $1 billion plus in profit in 7-8 years time. But who knows? Like, it's fingers crossed again. So.
Yeah. But for the entire architecture to work, you also need a team. And a lot of yes and no has actually happened with the recent exits. Founders are exiting. 4 key team members after public, they've gone different ways. Why is that?
I think, so first of all, there is nothing wrong with people leaving the organization anyway, right? So I think, I mean, people come here for 5 years, 10 years. We have about 175 people who have spent more than 8 years. So we don't have a attrition problem inside the organization. Now, see, different people leave for different things. Sometimes they have to spend more time with the kids, right? Sometimes they want to do different things. Sometimes they're done with active work life. They want to spend less time at work. Sometimes I would like raise the bar on someone and they fail to get there. So many things happen. Outside of the timing issue, like which was like 3-4 people in like 3-4 months, it's all normal here. And the timing issue I think happened because of the IPO, right? So IPO was a big thing and it changed a lot of people's lives. So a lot of people's personal lives changed, a lot of people's mindsets changed, ambitions, hunger, like so many things changed, like their form changed. And yeah, that was it. Like, and then suddenly we're like, okay, let's just like usher ourselves into the next phase and let the old make way for the new.
So we've discussed the two P's, possibility and performance. Performance पे तो आएंगे अभी. अब last पे है paranoia. What are you paranoid about?
I am paranoid about failing, right? About our customers not liking us, about us not making money, about us not growing, about our partners not actually seeing the kind of effort that we like put in and seeing the benefit of the effort that we put in. I think just these things. I'm just paranoid about things not working the way they should in terms of quality as well as speed.
So two more questions. What are you doing to increase the reach and the moat of your company?
I think the quality of service that we have is one of the biggest moats, right? And we have very little orders which are actually delayed, right? So our customer earlier, like I think 4% of orders used to get a customer support call. It's 0.225 odd percent right now, right? So there are very few things which go wrong with the service right now. So it's basically the quality and consistency of the service which is the moat, and it takes years to build. It's not an overnight thing. It's little by little, like you just tune hundreds of thousands of things to get here.
So what is that one biggest constant customer complaint जो आपको मिलती है? आप कैसे solve करोगे उसको? You're in a food business, so you know customers will always have the viewpoint.
Customers, I think the quality of food or the taste of food is something which we can't solve, right? Because we don't actually control that aspect of life. But with a tighter ratings, the ratings that you see for restaurants, I mean, we are able to solve for most part. I mean, customers know that if they're ordering from a 2.5 rated place, they can't expect high quality food. But if they're ordering from a 4.5 rated place, then they can and like really expect high quality food. So rating system solves that, but we still get a lot of, hey, this food is not good, right? So but we can't do much about that.
So what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, and what's the last thing you do before you go to bed?
The last thing before I go to bed is actually fairly the same thing. That's why I know what do I do. I have to shut my brain off, right? Otherwise I can't sleep. So I would read a very boring comic or a novel.
Chacha Chaudhary?
That's not boring. Like that's a lot of fun, but like super boring stuff, and which actually like shuts my brain off and puts me to sleep. In the morning, I would just wake up to coffee. Like I'd not look at my phone for the first 15-ish minutes.
तो कभी स्विगी से खाना ऑर्डर करा?
बहुत बार.
How is the service?
I don't know.
If you have to give one advice to the Swiggy management to change something about the customer experience,
I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it.
चलिए अब करते हैं the performance part. And we're talking about push-ups or we're talking about squats or both?
Anything. Plank करते हैं.
चलिए plank करते हैं.
How long will you do?
आपसे कम करूँगा. उम्र का तकाजा है. पुशअप्स में थोड़ा ट्राई कर सकते हैं. चलिए दोनों करते हैं. चलो.
पुशअप मैंने आज तक नहीं किया. I've never done push-ups. Let's try.
ट्राई करते हैं.
Let's try.
भाई Zomato में एक्सपेरिमेंट तो रोज ही होता है.
हाँ ठीक है.
This is one of the experiments. Fitness business में आप नहीं है, तो maybe this gives you an idea.
No, we are. We invested in Cult.
Oh yeah, that's in Cult. Yes. चलिए. 1.
Ready?
2, 3. चलो, start. अरे जोर लगा के हलिया. जितनी उम्र है उतनी पुशअप्स. चलो जी. Batch 1 used.